Welcome to the Pixel Marketing Show, the podcast for real estate media pros who want to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results. I'm your host, Pete Stagel, founder of Pixel CRM and creator of the Pixel Marketing Method. And every week, we're diving into the systems, strategies, and real stories that help you attract better clients, retain them longer, and grow a real business. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the show. I'm Pete Stagel. Today we've got Tom Sparks, who's a real estate media company owner. He built it and scaled it. He's a content creator. He's got a nice big YouTube channel for real estate media related stuff. And then he most recently acquired a new platform to post some additional content stuff. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Pete.
My pleasure. So I always like to give a little bit of background on our guests on the show to how you started your business, where what were you doing when you decided to get into real estate media, and go from there.
I've been a photographer since '97. Started with models and music artists, and then went to family photos and corporate events and weddings. And I always like to just do different things. And so right around, I think 2017, I started working with a real estate media provider just as a shooter to learn about real estate photography. I had never had an interest in it. My first couple real estate shoots were absolutely horrible.
It's just with most people.
Yeah, like horrible. And, I just kind of went along with them, and they weren't paying much, but I was learning a lot. And I have a particular background in like software consulting and identifying feature requests and bugs with platforms. And I also take that into businesses, and it could be a bakery to real estate media provider business. And so while I'm on this journey of doing real estate media for this company, I realized that there was some, breakdowns in communications and some process improvements they could have. And they weren't really willing to hear my thoughts on it. And I just said, well, you know what? I think I can do a better job of this on my own. So I went out and started my own real estate media business, Sparks Media Group, and started, I think, in 2018.
So before you were doing photography then, where did you get that kind of software bug squashing background? What were you doing before then?
I'm going to date myself here, but I've been into technology and computers since I was a kid, like 10, 11, 12 years old, and building computers and taking them apart and figuring them out. And I went to school for that. I got a degree in computer technology and got jobs in IT, usually for like corporate America. So I'd been in that, and I still do some consulting in that realm. But
so when you made that switch to doing photography, was it just because you were burnt out from the corporate world, or because you just wanted to have an expressive creative outlet? Or
yeah, it was more a creative outlet. My grandfather, early on, my grandfather was a evidence person at the local police department. So he did all the crime scene photos, and he passed away, and I inherited his camera. I was like 12 when he passed away, and I got his camera, and it sat on the shelf kind of in this like safe of a case, like I opened it up, the light came on, and it was like, oh, and and so, 5 years after he passed away, I took it out and said, well, maybe I can do something with this. And I literally just took a class at a community college in photography, black and white photography, and started playing with his camera, and it kind of just evolved from there. And so I was like, well, if I'm doing this for birthday parties for family members, maybe I can somehow charge for this and offer it to other people. And I think my first client was a quinceañera. So imagine me, at like 19 years old with a film camera shooting a quinceañera, which is like a mini wedding. Multiple rolls of film. I kind of had to know what I was doing, because you can't review the photos, from a film camera while you're there. And so, I think I probably shot like 20 rolls of film that night, and it came out good. And so I was like, okay, well, they paid me. And so if they paid me, other people will pay me. And I just kind of started bringing my camera everywhere and said, hey, do you need anything?
Nice. And so you just did it as more of a hobby and kind of a side hustle while you were working your corporate. What made you make that leap into, was it when you started with the real estate media company, or was it before that you made it the leap to creative full time rather than just a side hustle.
Yeah, no, it definitely was more out of a need of like, okay, corporate America is great, but I'm not earning what I think I should be earning. I do live in California in the Bay Area, and it's always been pricey and it's getting pricier. And so it really came out of a need to just make more money. I was like, let me just turn this camera I have into a tool and not just a hobby.
And so when you started your own real estate media company, did you start it with the intent to scale it, or it was just another part of the let's make money with camera and not work a corporate job? And
Yeah, for sure. It was me just doing it as myself, just a way to make extra money. And what I realized is real estate agents are very much, if you can't do it today, right now, I'm going to go find somebody who can. And I vividly remember I missed a phone call because I was in the restroom and I was going number one, but I come out 2 minutes later and call the person back and they're like, oh yeah, I was looking for a photographer for this listing I have, but I already found somebody, you know. So I hate turning down money. Like I really do. Not all money's good money, but in real estate, the money's good. And I hate turning down money. So I said, I need to figure out a way to clone myself. And that's how I was able to scale is basically, you know, cloning myself.
so there's a bunch of other bald people running around taking photos for you now.
Yeah, it's a requirement. You have to shave your head and no, but you know, I figured you know, what we do is an art form, but there's ways to standardize it. And so I created SOPs, I created handbooks and manuals and cheat sheets and shot lists, hot sheets, all these things that help out in the field. And I brought on somebody and trained them on how I would shoot. And, you know, we use very similar equipment, same camera settings. And part of my journey was I had to get editors. And so I have an in-house editing team that edits all pretty much the same. And so by the time an agent, you know, has 10 listings in 10 different cities, when they get all the images back, it looks like it came from the same person, same company. There's very consistent quality there. And because of
That's something I found is very consistent theme across anybody who scales is having that consistent quality, consistent experience, consistent. So it doesn't matter who on your team goes out and shoots it; they know it's going to be the same every time.
And you know, it's a double win. I think, you know, if I'm hiring a photographer in Washington D.C., they may edit their own way and deliver the images to me. But when I tell them, hey, I don't need you to edit, just deliver the unedited images to me, we'll handle it. It saves them the time of having to do editing or find an editor. It saves me a little bit of money because I don't have to pay them more for that. I can just pay them for the raw capture. And then my team can edit and the agents get consistent products. So yeah, it's a win-win.
So do you still have a in-house editing team now with all the AI, these things that are out there that can do editing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been slow to adopt AI editing. It's new, obviously, but it's new for me. I do have an in-house editing team. I'm kind of scaling them back a little bit. We really use AI editing right now more for the rush deliveries. We've been able, you know, for me in the past, a rush delivery was I turn all my images into my editors around, I don't know, 6 p.m. They work overnight. And so, you know, I've always been, my SLA with agents is always to deliver the images 24 hours, usually a little less. So if we did a shoot at 3 p.m., they're going to have them back by 9 a.m. the next day. They're never going to have to wait till 3 p.m. the next day for images. But with Rush, it was like maybe 11 p.m. that night. But now with AI, I can get them back, you know, in a couple hours. And so it is very helpful. There's still some things I don't like about it that I'm working with various companies on trying to improve.
So you scaled this over the course of what? You started in, what'd you say, 97, 98? 2018. Okay. So you've been running this for quite a while. How big have you grown it? And are you shooting anymore? Or have you moved more to operations?
No. I photographed 3 houses last week. I get bored. You know, I'm much more effective in front of the computer, but I get bored. So I like to get out and do work. And we offer a lot of 3D tours. And I always say, like, doing 3D tours, the first 20, 30 minutes, oh, this is cool. But after like 2 hours of scanning, I'm like, man, I'd rather be at home.
Yeah.
So no, I still get out and shoot. We cover all of California right now, and we're in a few other states. I'm not as big as I want to be, and we still have room. Scaling is very chicken or the egg. Do you hire more photographers, whether they're W-2 employees or 1099 contractors? Do you hire more photographers first and then find the work, or do you find the work and then have to scramble to find the photographers? So
Yeah.
a very like slow process to scale because of that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is for a lot of people, but some people have figured out ways to do it, and other people, like my scaling with my business before I sold it was a slower process. We were in the middle of nowhere. Mexico is not a big market.
Yeah.
And so, but we scaled it to the point where I wasn't shooting unless I wanted to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
I just, I never want to have a negative review. I mean, I understand nobody's perfect, but when I start seeing reviews like, oh, I don't know, the photographer was weird. We've heard that before. Or, oh, they missed a shot that I wanted. I send out survey forms after every order, and I don't think a lot of CEOs, a lot of owners are looking at their direct surveys, but I am. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you didn't like something. Let me call you right now and figure out why and see how I can make it right. But that's how you lose clients. And I've actually, I famously lost a client who stopped using me for about 2 years because we didn't put enough clouds in the sky when we did a sky swap. And I said, well, I ran into him awkwardly. I was doing coverage for another media provider who got busy. And I often do that, like a B2B type agreement. And so I showed up at this shoot, and it was the client that I used to use, or that used to use me, I'm sorry. And he was like, hey, wait, why are you here? I hired this other. I was like, well, I'm covering for them today. And he's like, oh yeah. And then it got awkward. He's like, well, I said, I stopped using you because I was like, oh man. I said, if you would have called me or sent me a text, I could have fixed that in 5 minutes. He goes, really? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, well, I'll use you on the next one then. And that, there's 2 years of time that it went by where he wasn't using me. So using us. And so
that was why I developed our feedback process in my business. And, that's one of the big core functions of fixed CRM is it's having that feedback to review process so that you can know that everything's okay. Because I found this very similarly is agents won't tell you unless you ask them.
Yeah. And it's like, give me the feedback. Let me know what you didn't like, and let me try to improve it.
So as you scaled your business and whatnot, at what point did you decide to start doing YouTube stuff and all this other things, these newer things that you're into now? And how do you find the time to do all of the things that you're doing? Because I didn't realize you were still shooting too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like undiagnosed ADHD, I think. I started, obviously, Sparks Media Group is the residential kind of real estate side. And then I came across the need to provide photos for a commercial property. And I said, wait a minute, this is not a, $500,000 house. This is a $10 million building. They shouldn't be paying the same price of the $500,000 house agents because they're getting a bigger commission. And I'm not greedy, but I definitely felt the need to mark up those prices for the commercial side. So I created a new business called Scan Your Space, and literally it's like commercial, industrial, hospitality, events, anything non-residential, and it's everything from photos to 3D tours to point cloud files, BIM files, CAD files, covering the construction, the AEC space, everything else. And the reason that I created the YouTube platform was specifically in regards to that. I was wanting to scale those guys who are working for me in that space. And in order to do that, to scale up, I had to, do these one-on-one trainings on how to do a Matterport scan, or how to do an iGuide scan, or how to do whatever type scan, like a BLK 360. And it just was a lot of work, and I got tired of repeating myself. So I said, well, let me throw a GoPro on my chest and just do a scan and talk about it. I was the type in high school, just to kind of rewind a little bit, I would call out on presentation day. I hate like public speaking. I hated it. And so I did one training where there was like 20 people paid me to come learn how to scan. And I was up there like, oh, so nervous. But I figured if I put a GoPro and it's just me doing it, I can. But then it was awkward in another way because, I don't know.
You're talking to yourself.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself in this empty house, and then if I'm outside and the neighbors are walking by, or whatever, some business owners walking by, they're looking at me like, why is he talking to himself, and why did he wrapped up like he's got a body cam on and all this stuff. So anyway, I made these videos. I started sending them out internally to the people on my team, and they all like loved it. And I was like, well, let me throw them on YouTube, because I didn't want to have to just keep dropping them in Google Drive links for these people, or putting them in one. And so I started putting them on YouTube and sending the links out. And then I realized that they started getting views on YouTube. And at some point, I had my YouTube channel for a while, but from the point I started posting those videos till the time I got monetized, it was like not quite a year, which I was pretty impressed by, because we're nerds in this space, and I didn't think people wanted to watch 2 hours of how to scan a warehouse. Or even like I put out time-lapse videos of me driving to Los Angeles and back. And so my channel's monetized and getting some viewers and some subscribers, and it's doing okay.
And then we were talking last week some point, and you were saying that how you started putting more and more effort into it because you were getting actual business off of it.
Yeah. So first, when it's monetized, you're getting like $1 here, $1 there. And then somehow I came across Amazon Associates, and I'm like, well, let me put links in the description of the products I use. And so I started doing that. And with Amazon Associates, I started making a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. And it wasn't until I think it was right around like into November, like the traditional Black Friday sales, that I was like, oh man, my Amazon's looking nice to, this month. And so while my channel may not be paying me like what some of the other influencers on YouTube are making, where it's like, I made $12,000 this month, I'm not doing that at all. It has led to a lot of huge opportunities where I've gotten paid work off of it. I've gotten paid consultation calls, because I offer a consultation type business where, if people want to learn how to scale or learn how to get into the business or have questions about pricing for a project they have coming up, they don't want to underbid themselves. I do these consultation calls. And so the platform has served me well in that regard. And it kind of led me into acquiring We Get Around Network.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into what is We Get Around Network. Like I said, I come across it, have you, and I saw some stuff. Tell people a little bit about what it currently is, why you acquired it. And you and I talked, and you've got some really cool plans for it. Let's just kind of go over some of that.
Yeah, so We Get Around Network was founded by Dan Smigrod in 2014, and Dan will have to forgive me if I'm screwing any of this up, but it was founded primarily as like a Matterport user group. It was very Matterport focused, because 2014, that was probably one of the only 3D tour platforms out there was Matterport. So everything was kind of related to Matterport, how to do a scan or how to do this, and what happens if you run into this error, and here's something cool you could do with Matterport. And along the way, it became more agnostic, where it's featuring other platforms. Currently, Draft 360 is a marketing partner of We Get Around Network. They're one of many, but they offer a 3D virtual tour platform, which is great. And so it's become more agnostic. I'm looking at the description right now on the banner, and it says, join the best PropTech community of professional Matterport, Draft 360, and related digital twin creators and providers, shaping the future of real estate today, helping you connect the dots to succeed faster. And that's kind of been the core of it. I want to turn it into the PropTech hub for reality capture pros, where it's a partner network currently that connects brands with buyers. So regardless of where you're at on the journey of real estate media or even beyond, like AEC space or getting into LiDAR and drones and drone LiDAR and all kinds of different spaces, wherever you're at on that journey, I want this to be a place where you can go and you can kind of hop on the train of where you need to be, and then it will help
guide you to what you need. A lot of people that I come in contact, a lot of our clients, especially when it's slow, they start looking at, well, I've got all of this here. I've got all these, the skill set. Where else can I apply that?
Right.
A lot of times it does go down the route of, well, I have a drone, how do I get into the LiDAR mapping and stuff like that? Or I've got a virtual tour camera, how else can I do something with this?
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of what you're looking at there. Is it's still very, I don't want to say 3D tour specific, but along that type of capture. It's not necessarily photography. It's more on the LiDAR and
Yeah. So
and real space.
if you think about somebody with a Matterport camera or an iGuide or whatever you have, you are a capture specialist. Even just a photographer, you're a capture specialist. You know how to go in and shoot a house. You know how to go shoot a wedding. You know how to go scan a house or scan a business. And there's a lot of people who are very good at that. There's a lot of people who may be really good at that and don't know anything about the business side of things, don't know how to price. They just want to be able to capture. So in Matterport's terms, they call them like MSPs, Matterport Service Partners. And so, Matterport will get these leads and they'll funnel them to people and pay them pennies on the dollar to do the work. And there's other companies out there that are looking for similar service partners, service providers. One company, as an example, which I'm not really trying to shout out all the marketing partners, but there's another one called InnoDraw. And with InnoDraw, they're looking for ISPs, which is an InnoDraw service provider. Get one of these handheld laser measures and put some software on a laptop. You have to go through a little bit of training with them on how to use it, but it's not much training. And you go into a house and you can capture a kitchen or a bathroom or somewhere in the house, and you can deliver CAD files to whoever your client is within minutes while you're still on site. And I don't know any other tools out there right now that are doing that. And so that's pretty cool, because historically in the remodeling space, when you're talking about, remodeling a kitchen, you have to wait for somebody to come in to scan it, and somebody else has to come in to capture the measurements for the countertops. Then you have to give it to a designer to design, and then the cabinets have to be built and come in, and then the countertop scan would probably be after the cabinets are already put in. You have to come measure for the countertops. And then there's delays in getting those CAD files, and all these delays, just add time. And so with InnoDraw, they're really figuring out a way to get those CAD files, like I said, while you're still on site. Literally within minutes before you leave, you can deliver the files to the homeowner or to the contractor or to the designer. And so, if you're a photographer and it's November, December, when it's historically slow for sales, maybe somebody already bought a house in the summertime when people tend to move the most. Well, now you're approaching the slow season for photography, but that's usually a busier season for contractors to do. We need to update the bathroom, or we need to update the kitchen. And so as a photographer, a capture specialist, you can now have another tool to make money. You can go in and charge, a couple $100 for 10, 15 minutes of work, and you're good to go. And so, yeah, there's ways you have to pivot.
So that's how you really see the connection between the real estate media kind of world that you came from, and most of our listeners and what viewers are in.
Yeah.
Because when I first we get around network, it was all Matterport, and it was like, well, I didn't do Matterport, I did iGuide because I needed that, and I needed that level of accuracy because of the LiDAR, and so it was just like, okay, I saw it. I read through a couple of posts, the forum stuff more for when I was making that decision. I said, okay, Matterport's clearly not the one I need. I need iGuide for what I'm
Yeah.
looking to do in this. And then I never really went back to it. What you just described is it really is the tools and training so you can effectively fill in all of your slow periods, maybe even create a whole new revenue stream for other things. A lot of the property media guys don't necessarily know about yet. They hadn't even thought about doing all those other things.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have enough of a hustler mentality, think about even just doing like surveys and appraisals. Like early on in early on in my business, I was approached by a company to do what they call a site survey. And I was like, well, I'm a photographer. And they said, yeah, but you're in spaces, you know how to capture them. Maybe you can come survey it. So they had me go to like cell phone stores, and I had to take pictures. I had graph paper with a ruler and a pencil, and I had to measure walls and draw elevations when I needed it. I was charging maybe $300 a store, but it wasn't real estate photography, but it did fill in those gaps when it was slow for real estate. And I was like, man, there's a better way. And right around then, I think Matterport came out with like more data files. And then iGuide came out. And I worked really closely with the folks at iGuide to create content. I love iGuide. I like Matterport. I love iGuide. Love Draft 360. And so all these tools now, you can just put the camera, Matterport, iGuide, Draft 360, scan it, get the data file, give it to somebody, and they can draw the elevations, and they're more accurate than I am with a.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a bunch of different areas where you can make money. And so if you're used to not even the number of jobs, let's just say you're used to bringing in $2,000 a week or $1,000 a week. And when real estate is really slow, maybe you're only making like 400 or 500 a week. Well, now you can supplement your income by doing these other tasks. And then when things pick up, you scale and you bring on more people to do the same tasks. And that's what I've done now. While I own Sparks Media Group and Scan Your Space, we do a ton of B2B business for a variety of industries, from AEC, from hospitality. We're covering a bunch of spaces, and I try to keep my guys busy every day. A lot of them are 1099 contractors, and if I'm not keeping them busy, they're going to go find somewhere else, DoorDash, whatever they need to do to make that money. And so I want to keep them as busy as I can.
That's what We Get Around Network is and was. And you can get into how you acquire it if you want. Where do you see it going? Where do you want to take this platform going forward?
Yeah. So maybe last year, Dan approached me, and well, I started being familiar with Dan by having my YouTube platform. And I can't remember if he reached out to me or I reached out to him, but somehow we got connected where I was a guest on one of his episodes talking probably about Matterport. And that just led to multiple calls later on, multiple shows where he would have me on, and we just developed a friendship. And last year he approached me. It was probably a little over a year ago. He approached me and he said it was 2024. And he said, I want to retire. I want to travel with my wife. I have some companies interested in purchasing. Would you be interested in staying on and hosting the shows and creating content? And I said, sure. And that over time morphed into, why don't I just buy the business? We're here now. I've acquired it as of January 1st. The platform has been very focused on these residential real estate, PropTech companies and people. There's a ceiling of pick whatever the most expensive camera is. It's probably the Pro 3 in that space, which is like $6,000. Once you hit that ceiling of, I've done all the scans, like pretty much covered every vertical that Matterport can capture, the next logical step up is going to be one of the more expensive cameras, like the Leica BLK 360 G2, which is $28,000.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now you want to jump into the G2. It's a lot more money. There's licensing fees. There's all the stuff associated with it. You have it. Now what do you do with it? How do you find the clients? And so what I want We Get Around Network to be is kind of along whatever the journey you're on. I want it to be the same way with whatever level of income you're trying to make or whatever kind of client you're trying to get. you can jump on that train wherever you're at. So if you want to get a BLK 360 and you want to do these bigger jobs that are more money, you're going to have to invest more in the equipment, but you also need to know how to get the clients. And so that's kind of where I want to take it, because, I go to the commercial UAV expo in Vegas. I'm going to Geo Week in Denver this month. And, 28,000 for a camera is like pennies compared, or for scanners, pennies compared to like some of these drones are $100,000 plus. Some of these LiDAR devices are, $90,000, $100,000. So there's, I'm a small fish in that industry, but I want to go bring, the next step past Matterport, past iGuide, past Giraffe, and bring them to the community and not have it be so broad. But, if I know how to fly a drone, right? Because I do residential real estate. Why can't I fly a drone and capture, a 100-acre piece of property for a site survey for a developer, And so that's where I'm going to need a 50, 60, $70,000 drone. That's where I can charge, $5,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 to spend 4 hours scanning that property. That sounds fun to me. Why not try?
Yes.
And so, I'm not unique in that thinking. There's other members that want to do that. They just don't know where to go. They don't know how to get into it. So I want to be that, again, kind of what we touched on
education platform.
Yeah. News
community
website, and just push all that information out there and not force particular brands, but just say, here's all the information. Here's how you use the information. Have at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to be spending more time there because it's interesting where it's come. Like I said, the last time I looked at it was when I had my real estate media business. It was very Matterport specific. It was kind of an interesting place. That really does make things interesting, especially for the companies that are hitting that wall in their market, where they've kind of done what they can do with the agents. They've gotten as big as they really either want to or can, are looking for the next thing that they can kind of incorporate into their business and still be running what they're used to doing, but just outside of the comfort zone and a little bit more commercial work. And I always see, especially in Facebook groups and the forums there, people are always trying to push more towards that commercial work because it's typically a different demographic that's actually wanting a different pricing, different everything. And this just takes it to another level, capturing those spaces and stuff, which is really kind of cool.
Well, just to touch on a few things, think about like hotel photography, right? It's good money. It's great money. It's very hard to get into that market because they have, all the major hotel chains have preferred vendor lists, and you have to fill out like 40-page packets of workman's comp information and all this stuff that's not really related to photography just to take photos. And I've been at shoots where it's been like 7-8 hours of setup for one shot. And I've been at shoots where hotels have paid $80,000 for a lifestyle shoot. So there's good money in it, but it's very hard to break into that industry. And
do you have resources that help people with that on We Get Around Network yet? Or is that something that you're looking to add in there?
Yeah, not yet. I would like to, add that component to it, but it's like really hard to break into it. It's almost like you have to know somebody and they have to get you in kind of. So yeah, there's just different industries, different ways to make money. And I think I'm not going to convey this properly because I lost the train of thought on it. But with We Get Around, I want it to be that place where, again, wherever you're at in your journey, you can go and get on the train and get the information.
Awesome. Anything else that you wanted to touch on with We Get Around Network? Like I said, one of the big things that why I wanted you on is that, when we were talking before, people just don't know what We Get Around Network is. Yeah, I ran into it early on in my career, but never went back.
I would encourage everybody to go check it out. It's free to join. There's different levels of membership that you can get. We have a Find a Pro map. So if you're if you're a media provider and you want to put your pin on the map where companies can find you, that's an additional level of membership, but it's free to join. It's free to post. There's I post these questions of the day, and they're very random. Yesterday, I posted a topic of, there's a trend on social media where you take AI and make a character of yourself based on what it knows about you. And so I started a whole thread about that. So anybody can get on and post. We covered a Matterport outage that kind of happened yesterday on there. There's just all kinds of stuff on there. Vendors are posting and people are looking for work on there. People are selling stuff on there. There's a marketplace where, you can buy, sell stuff. And we have affiliate codes with a lot of companies. And so we have, as part of the membership, you get access to those affiliate codes. So if you're interested in trying out a platform and we have an affiliate code for it, you'll get access to that where you can go check it out for, whatever that discount is. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot of stuff on there. We're going to revamp it and kind of give it a facelift. I don't know when that's coming or what it's going to look like. It's a little busy right now, but we're going to streamline it and, make it a little more user friendly.
Awesome. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you to, on YouTube or the platform, how do you want people to get a hold of you?
Oh man, there's different ways. You can send a carrier pigeon or send DoorDash. So if you go to scanyourspace.com, there's a consultation button and you can reach out to me that way if you wanted to book a call. If you want to email me, you can find my email online. I'm not going to probably put it here, but you can certainly Google me and find me. But yeah, call me. I answer the phone still. Text me. I'm textable. Reach out however you need to.
And your YouTube is just Sparks Media Group, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So I'll link the YouTube and We Get Around Network into the show notes on this. But yeah, thanks for jumping on with me. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to talking more.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to the Pixel Marketing Show. You're ready to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results. Grab your free copy of the Pixel Marketing Method at pixelmarketingmethodbook.com. If this episode helped you, share it with another real estate media business owner. Make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time.